The video shows the Monarch tactile display with music inspired by the iconic JAWS soundtrack playing. A shark fin glides slowly across the tactile screen, suggesting a movement that can be followed by touch. When it reaches the center, the word JAWS appears in capital letters, creating a dramatic and immersive effect.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Andrew Fletcher, Senior Product Manager at HumanWare, and today we have a great lineup for you, and hopefully that introduction kind of says it all. Welcome to what will be an exciting webinar between three well-respected IT organizations as we showcase today's webinar, Monarch meets JAWS, Unlocking the Future of Multiline Braille. To help us on the journey, joining us today are our friends at Vispero, Elizabeth and Rachel. Hello to both.
Hi, Andrew, and thank you for having us here. My name is Elizabeth Whitaker, and I currently manage the user education and documentation team here at Vispero.
And joining us from APH, our partners and friends, is Jennifer Wenzel. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be here, and I am a technology product specialist at APH.
And lastly, from HumanWare, we have our blind product specialist, Rachel Ramos. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Andrew. Good morning, good day, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am one of the blindness product specialists at HumanWare, and it's my pleasure to be here with you all today.
Fantastic. Glad that you all could be here. So it's not often we get a chance to say revolutionary with Braille, and it's often seen by many as old and outdated. Of course, anyone who is in our field of work will know the importance of Braille, and that having more Braille under your fingers leads to increasing your literacy skills. Winner of the Time Product Innovation Award 2025, the Monarch has become one of the most talked about assistive technology devices, breaking down barriers for users globally. Together with one of the most popular screen readers, JAWS, we'll be showcasing how Multiline Braille integrates seamlessly with JAWS, demonstrating practical, real-world use cases in both workplace and education settings. Such workflows include editing documents using the touch cursor, one of the only multi-line devices to have such capabilities, along with using the integrated Perkins keyboard to make necessary edits. Viewing spreadsheets with formulas and interacting with different sections of information simultaneously, such as splitting your view with your email and documents, or from using some of the latest enhancements introduced in JAWS last year, which is called Split Braille. Before we jump into the demonstrations, though, let's hear from the team at Vispero, who will tell us more about Split Braille and Multiline Braille with JAWS. So I'm going to pass it over to Elizabeth and Rachel. I will also share some slides. And away we go. Over to you, Rachel and Elizabeth.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you all for being here. First of all, I'd just like to thank you all. It's great to have the opportunity to partner with HumanWare and APH and to talk about one of our favorite topics about one of our newest features, Multiline Braille. So I just want to start out by talking a little bit about what it is. And I was having an interesting discussion. Rachel and I were talking to Joe Stephen and Rusty Kelly, who are two of our coworkers. Joe was extremely instrumental in developing this feature, and Rusty is one of our testers, and both of them are strong advocates for Braille literacy. And we were talking about all the different use cases, and it was an eye-opening conversation just getting to hear about what they were thinking about when this was developed and the many different ways that Multiline Braille can really revolutionize how we navigate and consume information in our daily lives. So Multiline Braille is a JAWS feature that enables you to use a multi-line Braille display like the Monarch. So when you pair it with your computer, you are able to use this as a Braille display and interact with information on your computer. So it displays multiple lines of Braille so that you're able to read all of these lines without having to pan from line to line. So for those of us who do use Braille every day, which I know Rachel and I do in our work, so when you're using a single line Braille display, you read a line, you press the panning button, read another line, press the panning button, and so forth. And you know, we do this without even thinking about it, which is fine. But if you have those multiple lines, you don't have to lift your fingers off the Braille display or reach over with your thumb. You're able to just read those multiple lines of Braille just like you would paper Braille, hard copy Braille. This also gives you a better representation of what you have in front of you, the structure and the layout of that document or that web page, which is especially important if you're viewing a table or a chart or even a spreadsheet. And Rachel's going to talk more about that here in just a moment. So, in a sense, multi-line Braille offers a full page-like experience when you're reading, and also provides you that true context of what you have above and below the current line. So again, if you're just reading line by line, you read, you pan, you read, you pan, and you have to pan back up to see what was on the previous line. Well, here you don't have to do that. So you get the context of what's in front of you. And one of the comparisons that Joe gave, and I really like this, so I want to share it with you all, is he kind of compared this to reading a sighted person reading text on a single line LCD display versus a full computer monitor. All right, so again, multi-line Braille is just essential for complex content like math and reading paragraphs of information, large blocks of text, and things like product descriptions on web pages. So now I want to mention a couple of our reading modes, wrapped versus cropped. So wrapped mode is exactly what it sounds like. It displays those multiple lines of contracted or uncontracted Braille, whichever your preference is, that is completely formatted. So you're able to read it again, just like you would paper Braille. You're able to read the number of lines available and then pan forward seamlessly so you have reading flow there. And it's going to pick up where you left off. So kind of think of it as turning pages. You read multiple lines, you press the button once, you read more lines and press the button again. Now, cropped mode is going to show you, for example, the beginning or the middle, the ends of lines, as if you were kind of moving a window across a page all at once. So you're going to get to see what's on those lines as they're kind of stacked up there. So you get that perception of how text is aligned. Is it indented? Is it centered? Is it lined up? This is especially important when you're, reading things like tables and web pages. And actually, it's automatically enabled when you're looking at web layouts, spreadsheets, and tables. And then one more mode I want to mention, which is enhanced structured mode. This is what displays structured elements across multiple lines. Now, when I mention elements, what I'm talking about are things that we find on web pages and documents that we can interact with, links, buttons, graphics, and things like that. So if you're just reading one line of Braille, you might have a link on that line and you're going to see that line and you're going to be able to read that link, but you might also have other links above or below it that you're going to have to navigate to in order to find out if there are any links on those lines. But with multi-line Braille, you don't have to do that. So it's going to show those links and those graphics and those buttons on each line without you even having to move your cursor. This is also true when you want to view the structure of a document, maybe the formatting, for example, headings. Do you have a heading level 1, your main heading, your main title, heading level 2, level 3, your topics and subtopics? So it gives you the ability to just get an overall look at how your document is presented and how it is formatted, which makes it a whole lot faster to navigate. So this really does transform how we navigate those complex documents and web pages. All right, I'm going to pass it off to Rachel Buchanan to talk more about tabular data and split Braille.
Thank you so much, Liz. And we're going to start off and just jump into tabular data. And data that's displayed in tables and in spreadsheets is much easier to read when you are using multi-line Braille. It makes it more practical and efficient. When you move into a table in Word or Excel, for example, JAWS automatically moves into cropped mode or switches to crop mode. So the layout feels more like a grid, and you'll be able to feel that the text is left aligned, the numbers are aligned by the decimal, and you're able to view different parts of the table and read full rows and columns. So it's a total difference to where you were having to before look at a table one line at a time and rely on your memory to remember what you had just seen or to contextually put the table together in your mind. So you can just feel it all at once as far as viewing tabular data, and it's really helpful. Changes the game. You're able to compare values and review overall charts, see the big picture, and review data as if you were looking at a spreadsheet all at once. Like Liz mentioned, the difference between being able to see one row of text and an entire monitor. It really changes the game, and it applies to tabular data as well. Last time we had a Braille webinar, we talked a lot about split Braille, and it lets you view two kinds of information at the same time. I'm sure that many of you have used this, but if you haven't, there are some things you can decide with multi-line Braille if the split appears on the top or the bottom, and then how many lines you have. For example, you might have English text on your top line and then a translation below it, or you could choose to compare two different texts side by side. You can determine where you want the split. But it's just like having two synchronized views that update together. It's really helpful, and combined with multi-line Braille will be really powerful. And if you're interested in more information and want to dive into split Braille, we did do an entire webinar like I mentioned, and you can find that at freedomscientific.com/training if you go to webinars on demand. Why is multi-line Braille transformational? Well, like we've talked about, like Liz has mentioned already, all of this context provides the lines above and below and makes it so that you're no longer reading information through a keyhole, so to speak. It allows you to just have the broader, and you have that experience that's more like a natural reading experience, more like turning the pages and you have a flow rather than just having that pinpoint. And it gives you more confidence, and it improves your comprehension and your ability to edit. Just because rather than being limited, you have access to the structure of what you're looking at, the headings, tables, etc. So it can't be understated that this has changed the digital way that people who read Braille are able to access information. And I just also wanted to second that we couldn't have done this without Joe's and Rusty's assistance, and their comments were invaluable. So with that, let's get into the meat of the demo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rachel, and thank you very much, Elizabeth, on that. Joe and Krusty, they definitely had some fantastic feedback on how to deal with multi-line Braille. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the translation views and the automatic switch of the crop mode. I mean, those in itself are just fantastic when using such a device like the Monarch. It really just makes those use cases much more practical. So the moment is here. I know you've all been sitting waiting patiently for us to dive in with those demonstrations. So Jennifer, are you ready to go?
I am. I just need to set up my screen share.
Okay.
Oh, it says you need to stop before I can start.
That I've done already.
Okay, let me see if I can get it to work here. Here we go. Now it's working. Let me get this set up. So what I'm going to show you is some side-by-side content. One side of your screen will show the visual Braille view of the Monarch, and the other side will show the print screen. And I will be sharing my JAWS sound for speech as well. And my first thing that I'm going to show you is
you just want to, so Jennifer, have you actually shared the screen?
Not yet.
Try that again.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I'm working on it right now. Now I have shared my screen, and I'm going to be showing you a word
screen sharing meeting controls.
So, are you hearing my sound?
Weather patterns and central.
Yes.
And you're seeing my side-by-side content, I hope?
Yes, we are. Yep.
Excellent.
Space.
All is working well. Oh, goodness. And
screen sharing meet Zoom Workplace, timetable sample dot weather patterns in Central Florida dot docs Word.
So now I'm in a document. Thanks to our friends at Vispero for this excellent demo document that is about weather patterns in Central Florida. And what I want to show you first is just the wrapped mode that Elizabeth mentioned. It gives you lines, multiple lines on a screen. And you can actually see the heading here at the top and how part of it is centered underneath, and it shows that it's a level 1 heading. And you get multiple lines on your screen, now more constant scrolling. And I was so excited. As a person who's been blind since birth, I've never had this experience of multiple lines on a screen. And the first time it happened, I went running upstairs to tell my sighted son about it. I was very, very excited. He said, big deal. Because for him, this is a common experience. But for me, this truly is a game changer. And if I want more content, I can pan with the Monarch's panning button, pan forward button, which is on the right side. And I can get another block of content, which is just wonderful for editing and reading. The other great thing about this is that I am able to route my cursor. So if I notice a mistake, for instance, I'm reading along and proximity to both the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of, oh, it's the Gulf of Mexico. This was written before the name change. I can route my cursor here to the O in Mexico because I know I want, or actually I'll route it to the period here. Oh, and well, typically you would point with one finger and push the action button, but it's not cooperating with me for some reason. Hold on one moment. It truly isn't. I don't know why. Hold on one second. Typically this works beautifully. I promise it was working the other day when we practiced. Okay, now it worked. There is a cursor under, well, hold on, now it just went crazy. But the cursor should get under the Gulf of Mexico, which actually did not happen. So hold on one moment.
Top heading.
Usually this works really, really well. I'm
Florida.
having a technology curse at the moment. So let's try this again. Okay, now we route the cursor to Mexico. And we are then able to, now it is showing under the period in Mexico as it is supposed to. So once in a while, things, don't work as smoothly as we want them to, but they do work. So now I can delete Mexico.
O-C-I-X-E.
And I'm using the Monarch's keyboard
M
to do that. And now I'm going to type America. And that was typed with the Monarch keyboard. And you can see that that is now there. So, and my cursor is still under the period. So it's really easy to be able to route your cursor exactly where you want to edit things in your Word document. And I can see that this region is characterized by hot, humid summers. Some extra spaces got put in here at one point. So if I want to, I could route the cursor down to that space.
America, period.
And so it's really easy to do that with your cursor. So another thing that is great that you can do is be able to use split braille. And I love split braille. I've used it on a single line display. I've always really enjoyed using it, but it works even better in a multi-line display. So I'm going to show you a couple of split braille modes. One of them that I want to show you is called the attribute indicator mode, and it will give you some great formatting information. So I have a little piece of text here from late May through October. It's all bolded, and I can tell that because there's a little bolded icon here. But if I really want to get some good information about this, I can route my cursor here, and it shows up under, I put it under the T in late just because. And then I can go into the split view dialog. And if you learn nothing else from this webinar, I hope that you will take away how to get into the split view dialog, because we're going to go in here a lot. So on the Monarch, you would use backspace, space, and B for Braille. If you're using a QWERTY keyboard, you would use Alt, and then your JAWS key, either insert or caps lock, and V for view. But I'm going to use it on the Monarch.
Select Braille View dialog. List
and
one.
now
List
it brings
view.
me a dialog.
1 of 9. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
Sorry, I overtalked the speech. It gives me a list of view modes, and it's on wrapped mode. That says 1 of 9. I'm going to use the letter A.
Annotations, 4 of 9.
Annotations is not what I want. It's something Rachel Ramos will talk about later.
Attribute indicators, 5 of 9.
Attribute indicators. I'm going to hit enter.
Enter. Edit.
And now you see that underneath my text, there's a line of B's, B for bold. So it gives me that information about the formats. And as I continue to go through my text, it would show me more lines of attributes that will be really helpful as I'm looking at my formatting. The other split mode that I wanted to show you is the translation split mode. And I'm going to go back into that viewer box with backspace, space, and B.
Select Braille View
for Braille.
dialog. List 1 list view.
And I'm going to use the
Attribute
letter
indicators. 5 of 9. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
You notice that it focused on the attribute indicators because that's the mode I'm currently in. Now I'm going to use a T for translation split.
Translation split. 7 of 9.
And I want to show you something really great about this split Braille. You can actually tab.
Read only edit. OK button. Cancel but default button. Options ... button. To activate, press spacebar. Alt plus O.
Options ... to activate, press spacebar. So I'm going to space there and just show you that you're able to customize.
Set Braille view options dialog. List 1 list view. Translation split language computer Braille. 1 of 4. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
So you're able to customize the Braille table you want to show.
Display split separator on. 2 of 4.
Whether the separator is on.
Show split data at bottom. 3 of 4.
Where your split data is shown. Mine I have at the bottom.
Lines used for split data 4. 4 of 4.
And lines used for split data. I have it set to 4 currently, but you would be able to change all of those options here. So now I'm just going to tab
Close button.
Close.
To activate, space. Edit.
And now what you are seeing on the screen, I had it set to UEB grade 1, and you're seeing that the top part of my screen has common, earning the area, the nickname conversely, the dry season spans from November through April. And now you look at the bottom and you're able to see, actually, I'm sorry, I had it set to computer Braille. So you're able to see the Braille in computer Braille. So that can be really useful. We're talking about Braille literacy. It could be useful if you want to see contracted versus uncontracted Braille. If you need to see something in computer Braille, maybe you're doing some coding and you need to see some of it in text, some of it in computer Braille. It's a great way to see different Braille tables on the exact same screen. So now I want to show you, and I'm going to briefly have to stop my sharing and then pick a different window. This I'm going to show you something in Excel. This also works beautifully in Word tables, this relationship, but there's a specific reason I want to show you in Excel. So I'm going to pick an Excel document here to share. Here we go. And
screen sharing meeting controls. Share preview WND. Screen sharing meeting control. Timetable sample.xlsx.
I'm hoping that you are seeing now my Excel document.
Excel, sheet 1, Monday.
Yes, we are.
Column header,
excellent.
no filter applied.
So I have this document up here that is a timetable document, and it shows, so this is the first time ever that you've really been able to view a spreadsheet with all the relationships of that spreadsheet. So typically with my single line display, I was able to view one cell at a time. And you know, you got an idea of how things were related and you could kind of tab and arrow. But now I'm actually able to see that time is my first heading, and I can read a column, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, all down the columns. And I can then see that my next heading is Monday, and I'm able to read what someone has on Monday, and I'm able to see Tuesday also and see part of what they have on Tuesday. So the great thing about this is a student or a person who is working in an employment setting where they're using an Excel spreadsheet can actually skim and find some content. So if I wanted to know what I had at 1 o'clock on Monday, I could find that. I could skim down to 1 o'clock and I could move over to the right and I have English at 1 o'clock. And then on Tuesday, I have maths at 1 o'clock. Okay, Tuesday is the day I'm going to skip class because I'm not a big maths fan. I didn't say that. But anyway, it's great to be able to find that information quickly and logically. And now the reason I wanted to do this in Excel versus a table, one quick side note is you can also route your cursor to any cell you want just by pointing and tapping once.
B3.
And now I'm in the B3 chemistry cell. So that's a really quick and easy way to get to the cell. And the last thing I wanted to show you, and the reason I used Excel, is that there is a great split
budget
view.
End of sheet H3, 24 cells, 0 objects, $0, H3, contains formula.
Okay, so you hear there that I switched to a sheet called budget, and this is a fake budget that I made that has some, pretend numbers for different categories. And it also has my income and my savings. And at the bottom, after the split separator, you're able to actually view the formula equals G3 minus F3, which is how I got my savings from the income versus expenses. And this could be really important for anyone who is doing editing of formulas, who needs to know how the formula does what is needed. It is a great automatic split braille feature that is part of cropped mode in Excel. And I think that is another great game changer of split braille and of using a multi-line display with something like Excel.
Screen
So
sharing
now
meeting
I'm going to
controls.
stop
To
sharing
move
my
to an item.
screen and turn it over to Rachel Ramos, who will tell you about some more exciting split braille tasks.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. That is so cool. The views that are available in Word for split braille and Excel by default, you got those formulas, and it just makes a spreadsheet a lot easier to comprehend. So what I'm going to do is share a Word document here that has just a sentence in it.
Windows 2. Test demo document
All right.
docs dash Word.
You guys able to see that and hear that?
I hear
Yes,
it.
we can. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So here is a Word document that just has the following sentence.
This document shall soon contain facts about the as comment albatross comment.
I press Control to stop the speech. Now, it said, this document shall soon contain facts about the albatross. And you heard that JAWS started to let me know that there was a comment. But as anyone who works with collaborative documents may know, it's sometimes easier to read certain comments in Braille so you have an idea of what the author would like you to add or change in the document. So I'm going to put my cursor on the word albatross because that's where the comment is.
Blank, period. As comment albatross.
Okay.
As B, A.
So I'm truly in the middle of
Alpha.
the word on the second A. And now I'm going to invoke the split Braille view dialog. As Jennifer mentioned, we are going to be using that a lot by pressing either Alt, Insert, or Caps Lock V, or, which is easier at the moment because I have the Monarch right in hand, backspace, space, and the letter B for Braille.
Select Braille view dialog. List 1, list view. Wrap mode, 1 of 9.
Now, wrapped mode is the default. I'm going to press A to quickly jump to annotations.
Annotations, 4 of 9.
And press enter.
Edit.
Now, this is very cool. So my cursor is still in the middle of the albatross word, but I now see below my split separator, which is kind of a line of dashes across the Monarch surface, it says comment. What is the albatross's wingspan? And it has my name, Rachel Ramos, as the author. So great. Now I know what the comment is, and I'm able to now answer that in the next little section I'm going to show you. So I'm going to put my cursor,
Blank.
I've press
Blank.
the down arrow. It's now in the bottom of the document, ready for me to write down some notes. So I'm quickly going to stop this share and share a different window.
Screen sharing meeting controls.
And what I'm going to do now is show the browser window. I have a web page pulled up with some albatross facts and show you the buffered view of split Braille. Okay. I'm now sharing the entire screen as opposed to a window because we're going to do some quick switching here.
Window 1, albatross : size, habitat, behavior, diet.
And here is the web page of lots of information you could ever want to know about the albatross. So my comment was, what is the albatross's wingspan? So let's go and find the answer. So I'm going to navigate down by headings to physical characteristics.
2, new tab, control plus,
Oops, that's not
leaving
what I wanna
menus,
do.
albatross : PC. Albatross : physical characteristics, heading level 2.
Right, and I am on the portion of the page that says physical characteristics. Now, whenever you invoke the split Braille view, it is important to have your cursor exactly where you want to kind of start, either buffering text or look at an annotation. So I'm making sure that I'm on the physical characteristics, which is where I want to be.
Albatross physical characteristics graphic.
Perfect. And now I'm going to pull up the Braille View dialog.
Select Braille View dialog. List 1 list view. Annotations 4 of 9.
As Jennifer also mentioned, you have a lot of different options. So if I choose buffered text,
Buffered text 3 of 9.
I did that by pressing B. And if I want, I can navigate to the options button, and you'll see that some of these are a little bit different than the ones Jennifer was demonstrating because I'm in a different program.
Options ... button.
And I'm going to press the space bar, and I shift tabbed to get to this options button.
Set Braille View options dialog. List 1 list view. Buffer unit dash document left parent up to 64 KB right parent 1 of 5.
So this first one is the buffer unit. So what do I want to have in the buffer that I can pan through? Well, I have the option of a document. I'll press the space bar to show you the other choices.
Buffer unit dash selected text. Buffer unit dash selected text 1 of 5.
There's selected text,
Buffer unit dash clipboard text. Buffer unit
clipboard, and paragraph, and all these different items here. But I'll circle back around to the document option.
buffer unit dash paragraph. Buffer unit dash document left parent up to 64 KB right.
Okay. And then
Refresh buffer text on enter dash on 2 of 5.
we have refresh buffered text. Enter is on.
Display split separator dash on 3 of 5.
Display split separator. That's something that you want. You can disable that or you can leave it on. I find it as a helpful demarcation just to know where my split starts.
Show split data dash at bottom 4 of 5.
Show the split data. That's at the bottom is where I have it, but you can change that just by pressing the space bar.
Lines used for split data dash 4 5 of 5.
And lines used for split data is 4 lines. So again, you can adjust that as needed. So those are the options within the buffered text split view.
Albatross physics.
And now I've chosen the buffered text
Select
just
Braille
from the
View
Braille view.
dialog. List 1 list view. Buffered text 3 of 9.
See that here? I'm going to press enter. Now what we will have, I'm going to quickly switch back to my Word document here. Again, sharing the entire screen. So the window may look a little bit different.
Windows 2. Test demo document docs dash word. Edit.
Now, what happens here is my document. And what I'm able to see now is the split Braille on the web page. I'll quickly run
Windows
back
1.
to that here.
Albatross list of 6 items.
And we have items that have features, and we're just going to make sure that our buffered text is in view.
Albatross
So I'll check
annotations 4 of buffered text 3 of
for
9.
here. Okay, and jumping back to Word.
Windows 2. Test demo document docs dash word. Edit.
And what I can do is I can pan through the split Braille that's showing. So the physical characteristics, right? I'm able to find that there is a list of items here.
Blank.
And I can simply read down the text in my buffer, whether it's a document, whether it's a paragraph, whether it's just selected text or keyboard text. That's what I'm able to view. So I'll show you here on this web page.
Windows 1.
Jumping back to it.
Bullet with one of the most bullet list of 6 items.
Okay. So, there's 6 items here of lists of physical characteristics of the albatross. And it's going to show me that the wingspan. Oh, well, that's actually what I've wanted to check. So I'm in my
Windows 2,
document
edit.
here, and I can see now that the wingspan is up to 12 feet. Well, my goodness, that is quite a large wingspan for this bird. And I can, while viewing the buffered text from the browser, I can in Microsoft Word, so I'm in Word, but my browser is showing because I've had it buffer the text, and I can write Albatross has a wingspan of 12 feet.
FT period.
And I've used the Monarch's keyboard to write that. I could, of course, use my QWERTY keyboard. But this is a wonderful way and is like we mentioned, sighted individuals being able to use dual monitors to have that spatial awareness. Well, blind people, I would say, for the first time since split Braille was introduced in JAWS, now have that same type of feature. So they are able to view text of different windows, different areas, and then be in a separate document and not have to flip back and forth. But speaking of flipping back and forth, I'm going to stop my screen share and show you the last item, which is split braille in mail. So
Albatross
jump
screen
over
sharing
here.
meeting controls.
And I'm just going to jump into the mail view here. All right. So this
Screen sharing meeting controls.
a list of emails. So let's jump over into Outlook.
Text file list document.word. Text file list @rachel.robinson@humanware.com/outlook.
All right. This is a folder of emails that I have from the Tech VI list, full of lots of great resources for different items of interest to the blind and low vision community. So this is Outlook, and I'm in a folder. Now, I'm going to pull up the Split Braille View dialog once again, and you'll notice that instead of 9 options, we're going to have an extra option.
Select Braille View dialog. List 1 list view. Buffered text 3 of 10.
Here's buffered text because that was the last item that I was on, and we have 10 items. So I'm going to press space 456 to jump to the last item because that's the one I want.
Message list plus preview pane off 10 of 10. Bottom message list plus preview pane off 10 of 10.
It said message list and preview pane, which is off. So if I press enter, now this is just a JAWS setting. So I'm going to press enter now.
List box external David Goldfield via groups.io left bracket tech dash vi right bracket project Gutenberg reports the passing of its CEO Greg Newby.
All right, so that is a message that I can read. If there's another message I want to read, I can simply press the down arrow.
External David Goldfield via groups.io left bracket tech dash vi right bracket become a Windows 11 Pro with these 73 keyboard shortcuts. When
now I'm pressing Control to stop the speech, and the subject from this Tech VI list is become a Windows shortcut Pro with these 73 shortcuts. So let's say that I'm interested in reading about those shortcuts. Below the message subject, I have my split separator. I am pressing the plus or the zoom in key on Monarch to pan down. So as Jennifer mentioned, she was pressing the right arrow on Monarch to pan down in a document. Because I'm in a split view, I'm going to use the plus or zoom in key to start panning down. So now what's showing is all of this Braille, and I haven't even opened the message. It says 73 keyboard shortcuts. Windows 11 is here to stay. Windows 10 support has officially ended, sending many users to download and get, I'm going to pan again, acquainted with Windows 11. And this is all through the split view. If I wanted to move on to the next message, I'm going to press the down arrow.
External David Goldfield via groups.io left bracket tech dash vi right bracket Fable expands testing community to the UK to help organizations comply with EU Accessibility Act. All
right, that was a rather lengthy subject, but it's about expanding accessibility testing in the UK. Again, if I wanted to read that, don't even need to open it, just press my plus or zoom in key to pan through the split Braille view. If I needed to go to the previous set of 4 lines, I can press the minus or zoom out key, and it will pan me backwards through the split view of my text. But I love this feature because it makes it so easy to quickly peruse my emails. Don't even have to open them, but I can still read them. And for those who use dual monitors, that may be something that sighted folks have been able to take advantage of for a long time. But now that we have full JAWS support on Monarch, we have the ability to take advantage and read email and take notes and view web pages in much more of an efficient manner than we ever have before. So I would say this is a huge quality of life improvement for Monarch users and blind individuals alike, because split Braille does still work on single line displays as well. But we're all about being efficient and being productive, and split Braille is really the way forward in that manner.
11:4.
All right. I'm going to pass it now over to Andrew to wrap things up.
Screen sharing meeting controls.
Fantastic. And wow, what some great demonstration there was there. So thanks very much, Jennifer and Rachel, for that. Just a quick question that I have, actually, and this applies to Rachel and Jennifer. So when you were using the split Braille, certainly for when you were coming to using the web browser and your document, was you able to then click on like a press in a location, like whether you're pressing on the web browser or whether you're testing on the internet browser, you're then able to then switch to that application using the touch gestures?
So the way that I was switching and just making sure I was flipping between the documents, once you set your cursor where you want to start the buffered text, you can press Alt Insert V or backspace space B to open up your split dialog and then have that text buffered. But I was quickly switching apps with the shortcuts as I had those programs pinned to my taskbar. So Windows 1 through 9, I believe. Yeah, will quickly switch you between applications. But so far, it's not available on Monarch as of yet.
But you are able to route your cursor to different locations when you're buffered versus when you're in your Word document. That is handy. That's a super handy feature. By just pointing and then clicking that action button, which is in between the dots 1 and 4 on the Monarch, tapping it once.
Great, fantastic. Okay, well, I'm sure our listeners have plenty of questions. If you haven't already, you can post your questions in the Q&A section. You also have the chat. And of course, you can raise your hands. I'm going to now allow people to raise their hands. If you'd like to raise your hands, you can press Alt plus Y. And then once I call your name, you can then unmute yourself by Alt plus A. And then you can go ahead and ask your question. I do have some questions in the Q&A that I will announce. So let's start with this one here. So if you wanted to, could you use the central section of the display to show the main part of a screen, say the desktop or writing section of Word, and use the edges to display the various other controls on the screen? This would help in developing a blind person's understanding of the layout of a Windows computer screen. Who would like to answer that question?
So right now, the spatial kind of layout of a screen isn't fully displayed. We might throw it over to Rachel and Elizabeth to speak to maybe some future updates. So if you're on your screen right now, you can see like a folder, maybe your documents folder, and then you can see what's on the bottom, like your system tray. So your time, your date, your other programs that you have there. But that's kind of the extent of the spatial formatting of a screen at this point in time.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of speak to that for just a second. That is such a great question, and that is definitely something that we'll be taking back and talking to our developers about. But yeah, as of right now, as Rachel was saying, that's how it works, but who knows?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, another question that's just came in. Good afternoon or evening to you. I first would like to thank the Braille Foundation from the UK to refer me to this webinar, the topic which is, of course, Monarch. Based on what I could understand, this device, based on my current knowledge, is a multi-line display. And this idea is sometimes associated with split Braille. And I can go ahead and answer that question. So Monarch is a multi-line tactile device, and it has multiple different modes. So it does have internal applications itself. I know there's been a couple of questions that were asked about whether Jennifer or Rachel was actually opening up Keyword, because we do have our own built-in word processor built in the Monarch. But what we've been demonstrating today is using the Monarch, connected it like a Braille display, as you would with a single line display, to a screen reader such as JAWS. So all of the demonstrations that you have witnessed today are using JAWS on their computer, using the Microsoft Office packages like the Excel and Outlook. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so we have a few questions now coming in. I'll actually let's answer some of these hands that have raised. So I'm going to ask Jenna to talk. So hello, Jenna. How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I actually own one of these wonderful devices. I've been blessed to be a part of the blind professionals cohort, and I love the Monarch. And my question is, so I have, ever since I found out about the multi-line functions with JAWS, I've been trying to find a way to get my hands on documentation so I could put this baby through its paces. So, and I can find nothing. So
Right. Yeah. Okay.
point me in the
It's a
right
very good question. Yeah. It's a very good, and you're not the only one, Jenna. So there was someone else that also posted a similar question. And I guess like the documentations that both Rachel and Jennifer use would be ideal for this scenario. So it's something that I'm going to ask permission to see if we can share those documents and make them available to download on our website. But I will need to ask the permission first, as we're not the authors of those documents. But that's a great suggestion. I'll see if we can make that available. In the short term, though, if, however, because I don't want to make them fully public to everyone, but in the short term, Jenna, I'm more than happy if you want to email myself, I can provide you some documents to trial out yourself.
And as far as APH, we have some Monarch training documents, and we are close to putting a JAWS with Monarch document in that zip folder that can be downloaded. I'm close to having a final draft of that ready for publication that goes through setting it up, goes through some of the options or some of the things like that we demoed today.
Awesome.
We're all kind of building the documentation as things, because this is all so new.
Yeah.
But I would really encourage you to get in and start playing around and seeing what happens. And I do know there was an FS cast that I actually listened to that was super helpful, where people went through some of the features. I don't remember the number of it. Maybe Rachel Buchanan and Liz know, but that was a good starting point for me to start in as well. It was one of the podcasts from JAWS, from Vispero.
Awesome.
I will look that up right now and tell you what number that is. Give me just a moment and I'll answer that here in just a few minutes as we go through some more questions.
And what was the email address where I can get those documents?
So Jenna, if you want to email myself, that's andrew.flatres, that's FLATRES @humanware.com. I'll post it on the chat as well.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. Thanks, Jenna. Take care.
Sure.
Okay, next one we have is Alison. Hello, Alison. You want to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I just first wanted to say how impressed I am with these split braille features, and I think they'll just be extremely helpful for productivity, especially just viewing tables and spreadsheets. I think that's the area where I'm particularly excited. But what I specifically wanted to ask about is I have a software application that I use for work in school, and I can see how very split braille views that are specific to that software application could really help me. And what I'm wondering is how to go about getting a split braille view made for my software. Is that something a JAWS scripter would need to do or could do?
Very good question. I would assume so. I'll pass that to Elizabeth to answer that one.
So just for clarification, is this is specific software and you want to be able to use split braille for that particular software, but the view is not available? Is that what you're?
Yes, ma'am. I have a transcription software. I'm
Yes.
actually a court reporter, in court reporting school, and I have I have stenographic notes on one side of the print screen, and I have like the English translation on the in the main part of the screen, and it's actually not completely accessible to get the cursor to move to those notes. And I think it would be great to have like a split view where I can view the notes alongside the English translation.
So I'm not sure if that's something we could currently offer, but what I'm going to ask you to please do is email us at training@vispero.com, because I think that's a great idea and I'd like to pass along to our developers.
That would be a great thing to include in the translation split, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was
That's a
thinking.
great use case. I like it.
Sure is. Yeah, training@vispero.com.
I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison.
And just to follow up on that FSCast episode about Multiline Braille, it is FSCast episode 261. And if you go to blog.freedomscientific.com, you will find it there.
Yeah, that was a great starting place for me. I hope that helps others.
Great.
Okay. Let's go and answer some questions in the Q&A section. So we have one here. Can you explain whether it's possible to display graphics on the Monarch? And if it is, how that works if a user has been sent a Word or PDF document with images? Can the Monarch simply display the image, or do you have to go through a process to make it accessible? So some great question there in regards to when there's documents that contain graphics. Now, speaking when we look about the subject of connecting with JAWS and using Monarch with JAWS, this current time, the graphics do not get processed through to the Monarch. Is that correct, Elizabeth? It's just pure text and tables, etc., not images and graphics.
Correct. But that may be something that's coming. But that is correct.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, though, if you do want to show some graphics, then of course you can use the integrated applications of the Monarch. So the Monarch, as mentioned previously, does have internal apps, and there's one app in particular called Tactile View. And if you open up that app, you can open up the image, then it'll allow you to navigate around that image. In terms of file formats that it supports, PDF documents, it will, but Word documents it won't. So you will have to do some kind of magic to get that image out of the Word and place in a PDF, or you could actually just do file save as a PDF from the Word choice. So there's a couple of ways around that. Hope that answers your questions. Okay, let's get to another hand that's raised. Daniel. Hello, Daniel, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes, so no, this is all very great stuff, and yes, like the other person who asked about how they'd be able to, run this thing through its paces. I guess are we and with the latest version of JAWS, that 2025 update that has the functionality? Yeah, I know. I don't seem to be able to find the Monarch as a display choice under for adding a display.
You pick the HID display as the choice, and then you should be good to go.
Because I think there's so many other there's like the other APH options on there on like I guess when I go to add components to Braille display, then there's the choices. I didn't see Monarch listed there.
No, Monarch is not listed, but if you pick HID, if you select HID compatible display, that will work.
Okay.
Currently, Monarch does not exist as a display as a choice.
Well, that is great to know. That would probably open the door for me.
Sorry, Andrew, I jumped in there because something I actually knew.
Yeah, no worries. It's not again, there's been a few people that have asked that question. So is it I would guess a question for me, is it available as a list as Braille HID, or do you need to add? Do you need to go to add and then select the Braille HID? So
it's in the list of Braille components. Yeah, just press
But
H.
it's not Braille HID, it's H for HID.
HID.
HID compatible. Yep.
There we go. Okay, well, that's answered a few other questions that were in the Q&A. A lot of people was asking, how do I get that paired up, connected? Yep. And whilst we talk about pairing and connecting the device to JAWS, currently the only method is by USB, but we will soon be releasing a new update through Monarch that will support Bluetooth at some stage as well. So again, more exciting stuff to come. Let's go to Dan. Hello, Dan, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yes. I haven't seen the Monarch for a couple of years. Oh, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes.
Okay. I haven't seen the Monarch for a couple of years, so I don't remember. But you mentioned, when you're mentioning keys like Alt, Control, are those keys on the Monarch, or are you using the JAWS Braille-in feature to emulate them?
So Rachel, I mean, I'm happy to answer this question. So that there is the Braille Perkins keyboard that you will have. So there is a keyboard that is on the Monarch, and you are actually able to use those shortcut keys in Braille that will resemble the QWERTY shortcut. So as Rachel was saying about how, I think it was Jennifer saying about how you use the split Braille function. So you've got the QWERTY function, or you can use the Braille keys to activate that function as well. So whatever you're trying to do with the QWERTY keyboard, you could also do using the Braille keyboard as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there are modifier keys that you can press on Monarch to emulate Alt, Control, Insert Windows, and then the function keys as well.
Okay, you just have to have a QWERTY keyboard connected to your computer.
I mean, you don't have to, but you know, sometimes it can make things easier. But yeah, like I was mentioning, there are
Oh, so-
modifier keys on Monarch. So you
Right.
can
Okay.
control your PC from the Monarch if you want to.
Oh, okay. That's all.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go to some of these Q&As. We do have 4 minutes left. So next question here we have is, I have a Monarch, I've had a Monarch for a while, and I've been using the latest JAWS update. And JAWS connects to the Monarch, but there seems to be some serious bugs. For example, pressing the circle button to route the cursor has never worked for me. And panning sometimes moves the display forward in a Word document or a web page, but often it does nothing. Who would like to answer that one? That's
So one thing I
interesting.
was constantly doing early on was trying to double tap that action button twice, because that's the point and click on the Monarch. That's how you usually route. But with this, you only tap it once. And sometimes it is a little glitchy, as was demonstrated in my demo, but usually trying again will work, or arrowing once down and then trying it again seems to work for me. If I remove my hands completely and then put my hand back again and just tap that action button once, it usually works well. And you're just going to notice that little 7 and 8 dot cursor appear where you are pointing.
Thanks, Jennifer.
You also may want to make sure that in your Braille settings that the active cursor follows Braille display is checked. That can also affect how things are panning and moving. And then use the down arrow to pan, not the directional pad on Monarch, but the down arrow, and then up arrow should pan previously. So those.
One other thing, sorry, Rachel.
No, go ahead.
One other thing I was going to mention is, if you've been using the Monarch for a long time and maybe you were using it in developer mode at one point, you cannot use it in developer mode. That will affect how your cursor is panning and how you're able to route. So you want to make sure your Monarch is not in developer mode, just in case, because there are people out there that was a reality for at one time.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's start some more Q&As. We've got 2 more minutes to go. So question here is, if you are using JAWS in a non-English language, will that appear using the correct Braille table on the Monarch? The quick answer is yes, providing you've got your Braille table selected within JAWS, then that will output to your Monarch. I don't think there's anything else that I need to answer on that, unless I'm completely incorrect, but it's all based around your table that you've selected within JAWS. Are the graphics not downloadable from APH? I need young users for graphs and pictures to see. So again, a few more questions around the images side in tactile graphics. Just to clarify, when connecting with JAWS, graphics images are not being shown, but as Elizabeth was saying, that may be something that may be upcoming. That'd be exciting. But in the meantime, if you want to show graphics, you would need to use the Monarch internal applications. Got time for maybe one more raised hand. So Diana, hello Diana, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, I do. I actually asked the question in the Q&A too. I was very interested in your Albatross demonstration, where you had the Word document in one and the buffer in, or the web in the buffer. I noticed that you typed the information into the Word document. Could you have copied it from the buffer and pasted it into the Word document?
So I love the question. I believe that is possible. There is some bookmarks, split Braille bookmarks that you can add in a buffer. So if I wanted to add maybe a bookmark to jump me to a certain area, and then I believe selecting text and copying, pasting is possible. Liz or Rachel, do you want to jump in real quick and confirm that?
Yes, I believe that is possible as well. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Great question.
Thank you. Well, that wraps up our session for today. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our partners from Vispero and APH. Jennifer, Elizabeth, and Rachel, thank you ever so much for joining us. And also to Rachel from HumanWare for joining us. From my side, thank you all for attending this fantastic webinar. It's been fantastic using the Monarch with JAWS. I hope you're leaving with some valuable insights. For additional resources related to Monarch and topics that we've covered today, you can certainly visit the HumanWare support page. We will be updating that support page soon as well with additional content using Monarch and JAWS. And of course, you also can explore the JAWS support page where there's information about split Braille functionality. Have you included the multi-line function as well, Elizabeth and Rachel, on your support pages, or any additional resources there?
Yes, we are in the process of updating those. So you'll be able to go to freedomscientific.com/training, and we'll have that updated here within the next couple of weeks. We'll have all that information there.
And on the
Thank
Monarch
you.
product page for APH, we'll also have a training document there shortly as well.
Plenty of resources to get your hands on, which is fantastic. In terms of the video or recorded webinar, this will be recorded and will be available from all 3 organizations at some point. I'll also try and post that to all those that have registered. But until then, that's it all from me. Thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. And stay tuned for new updates on the Monarch, where eBraille becomes a reality. Thank you all.